Well, LCS lock-in is beginning. Today's the very first day. I'm joined right now by Vulcan with coverage brought to you by Alienware to talk a little bit about how things have been shaping up after Game 3. So a very long game and an unfortunate loss for Cloud9. Vulcan, what do you think went wrong in that game? Because it did seem at times like you guys had control and that kind of started to shift back.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a pretty good lead in the early game. We had two dragons against none, but I think we misplayed a lot of the key team fights. And Perkz after the game mentioned that he thought his champion was not so good against their comp, especially Renekton and Galio kind of made his life hard in team fights. So yeah, I think it's just misplay on our part in team fights. So we'll go and of course practice that in scrims for the future. But yeah, we haven't reviewed the game yet. We'll see about like micro points. I'm sure there's stuff to learn from that. But mostly, I think our team fighting was pretty poor this game, and it being the first game of the season, I think I don't want to blame like first game jitters or stuff like that, but I think we'll get more used to each other and be better in the future.
Well, that's what I was going to ask because it does feel like everyone was just like, oh man, C9 is going to hit the rift and they're just going to crush it. And Perkz was tweeting out stuff like, I'm not even going to die during lock in. And then I think he died 8 minutes in. But I'm kind of curious, like, was this a fluke or should fans expect a rocky start for C9 and lock in as you guys are getting your feet underneath you?
I don't know about a rocky start. I think we're definitely at the top of the table. I think EG is like a relatively strong team. I'm not like too surprised that they can take a game off of us, but I don't know. We've been doing pretty good in scrims against like the like I guess expected top teams, right? So not sure about Rocky, but I think we'll definitely like scale as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to get used to Perks because he's played in G2 for pretty much ever, and he's coming into a new system. We have to get used to him, and he like brings all the stuff that he wants, specifically me and Blabber to do around like playing around mid and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll be a lot better as the season goes forward compared to the other teams, but it's not like we're that bad at the moment, even though we dropped the game here.
How different is it playing with Perkz over Niski?
I'd say Perks is a lot. He demands a lot more of like the other players. He's more clear about what he wants compared to Niski, who was kind of like he would try to set up the other players. He would play for the other players, whereas Perks kind of wants the other players to play for him. Obviously, I think that's a easy comparison to make. I think the public kind of knew that, going into the season, but yeah, Perks just knows like a lot more what he wants compared to Niski, I guess.
Well, and how is the team adapting to that change? Because you've got obviously Blabber, who's this very aggressive jungler. I mean, I don't know if you guys are if you guys are shifting now, so it's like okay, we all need to play around Perks, or if it's something where you hope that he kind of meets you in the middle and he becomes more I don't know. I don't want to say collaborative with the team, right? Where everyone starts to play kind of from an equal standpoint in terms of resources and demands and that type of stuff.
I mean, I think it's going to go both ways. I think we're going to try to accommodate Perks' playstyle, but obviously, me, Sven, and Barbara kind of have a way that we want to play the game, right? So we'll try to find a middle ground, and I think we've been doing a good job at that so far. In draft, like playing champions that can help mid, or maybe Perks sometimes like he's not afraid of playing Galio and playing for the team if that's what looks good in draft. So um, I guess we'll just like try to play the best way possible depending on our champions, and hopefully we have like a versatile play style. But for now, I'd say we play around mid more than we did last year.
So I interviewed Jensen right before the start of your game, and we were talking a little bit about his had just finished. I brought up the topic of Perks and him getting to play against Perks. He actually said that he thinks that C9 might have gotten weaker with this new roster, and that the roster might be a downgrade from last year. So I'm kind of curious if you have any response to his sort of assessment of the team and the roster.
Um, I don't know. I think it's very hard to argue that Perkz isn't a better player than Niski. So I don't know where he comes, like where he gets this downgrade from. I guess he's probably mentioning or referring to top lane, but I
Well,
think that's
also he
such.
said Perks. Sorry, and I should have elaborated. He also said that he felt like Perks did so much for the team that's part of the thing where like maybe bringing Perks in, he's not able to support the other players in a way that Niski was able to. I think that was his sort of broader argument.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's like I don't want to say personality clash or like a play style clash between like me, Barbara, and Sven and Perkz. Obviously, we play the game in a very different way that Perkz wants to play it, but I don't think we're like unable to adapt to Perkz' play style. I think it's going to take time, right, to get comfortable with each other. But I think once we're like at that level where we're all on the same page, I think we have a much higher ceiling than we did last year. We're not gonna, go straight out of the door 9-0 like we did last year, right? Obviously, we just dropped the game, so that's not possible anymore. But yeah, I think we have a much higher ceiling than we did last year. It's just gonna take some time to get there.
Very good. How long have you had a chance to practice as a team, and how have scrims been going up until lock-in? Like, I don't know if you feel like you guys have had a good and solid amount of practice, or if you're coming into this like, whoa, what is this? How do we play together kind of thing?
I think we had like one of the best, or like the earliest. We were one of the earliest teams to have everyone here together and be able to practice. I think it was on the second that everyone was here, and then on the third we started scrimming because Sven just flew in and was super tired. So King still subbed in that day, but after that we had the starting five, and I think TSM was the only other team that worked together before us, if I'm not wrong. So no, I'm not blaming this on us having a low amount of practice. I think we had a fair amount of practice.
No, I was just generally curious.
Yeah.
I was not trying to imply that, but I am
Sure.
just kind of curious because lock-in is a little bit earlier than last year, and I think a lot of teams have been traveling. There's been a lot of roster movement, so I'm trying to gauge like how practiced are any of these teams going into lock in, or if it's just like a crazy situation for everyone. No, I'm also kind of curious. What do you think? What other teams do you think are good right now? Because I mean, we obviously saw this was a bit of an upset, and the TSM match I think a lot of people would say is an upset. Maybe not all, but some. So I'm kind of curious. What other teams do you think are good right now, at least in this tournament?
From the teams that we scrimmed, the best ones are in no order: TL, 100 Ts, and TSM. We scrimmed CLG and Immortals, but they don't have their full roster. I don't even know if they have it like as of right now. But yeah, I'd say TSS under Liquid looks like the best team so far, which I guess is not very it's not very a hot take, but from scrimming them, that's what I think.
Yeah, about meeting expectations or so. Were you
Yeah.
surprised at all by the 100 TTSM game in the beginning then, based off of just the fact that you think both those teams are supposed to be really good?
Not really, because I thought the draft was pretty favored towards RT, so I'm not surprised that they ended up winning that game. I think TSM had like a draft where they have no agency in the game, and 100 has a lot of tools to make stuff happen. And in the meta right now, I'm not surprised that a comp like that ends up rolling the other team, right? So I guess I'm surprised that TSM went for a draft like that, but I'm not surprised at the end result after it happened.
Is that criticism of Bjergsen's draft? All-star mid laner Bjergsen going into the coaching position, and you're suggesting already that his drafts are having issues?
Yeah, I think if they had Parth, maybe TSM gets away with the win here.
Very, very good. Okay, thank you. I was looking for a headline for this interview, so I'm glad to have found it.
There you go.
Well, I know we started a little late, and I'm running off to another interview, but I really appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything you want to say to any of the C9 fans out there?
Don't give up on us yet, and I know you guys have high expectations for us, and we're gonna meet them. So stick with us.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for the interview, Vulcan. Looking forward to seeing how C9 starts to come together in just the next couple of weeks. And for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things LCS 2021 right here on my YouTube channel. Oh, man. I was just watching that interview again after I'd filmed it, and I was thinking to myself, what an amazing interview. The person who conducted that interview definitely deserves more subscribers on his YouTube channel. And yet, so many people don't subscribe because I guess they just hate him. I don't know. It's sad. But you know who does subscribe? Alienware. They subscribe to this channel, and you can subscribe to their amazing products at alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the description below. You can use Travis10 off Q4 to save 10% or more off your order. Thank you so much to Alienware for subscribing to my channel. And maybe you could too if you haven't yet. That'd be swell.